Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Janelle. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be doing my February reading wrap-up. In February I read 2 books, which isn't bad. It's not really anything. My reading really fluctuates throughout the year, so I don't necessarily have a standard as such. But for the 2 books I read, I figured I'll do a bit of a deep dive into both of them instead of individual reviews, and let's go for it. So the first book that I read in February was Closer by Sea by Perry Chaff, or Chaff? I'm not sure. So this book is set on an island just off the coast of Newfoundland in a fishing village, and it felt, just hold it like that, it felt like a memoir. It was written so detailed. This is Perry's debut novel. He himself grew up on a small island off the coast of Newfoundland, so when he's talking about the fishing industry, when he's talking about the way the boats work or the way the community is, like, you know this isn't from like a place of just researching. It is a lived experience. It felt so much so like a memoir. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. It just felt really comfortable. It was also quite interesting because in Canada and at the Newfoundland end of Canada, there's a high Irish ancestry population. And it was quite funny because now that I live over here in Northern Ireland, reading the book, seeing some of the terminology and language that I didn't know growing up in Alberta, but is extremely familiar to me here now, it would have been very easy for me to believe I was reading about like a little Irish fishing village. Like, it was really interesting seeing that cross connection there. It feels like a multi-genre. It is a mystery. It's also a look into grief and the way we process it. It's also a coming of age story, and it's also a commentary on climate change and our impact on that as humans. So it was very well-rounded, I feel like. Essentially, our main character, Pierce, loses his father. Not a spoiler, this is like bang right at the beginning. I think it's in the synopsis. He loses his father. His father's lost at sea when he's 9. And so the book is 3 years later, and how Pierce is dealing with this grief, how his relationship with his mother is. He's at that age where he's, puberty starting, hormones kicking in. He's having confusing feelings. He's at the point suddenly angry. And as the reader, like, it feels so nostalgic as well, because as a reader, like, I could definitely relate to emotions he was feeling and the confusion around the emotions he was feeling. He has his friends, and he's noticing those friendships are shifting and changing. One of his friends goes missing, and that's where the mystery is what happened to her, and he's not giving up. A lot of people just assume she ran away. He's determined she wouldn't have done that. So that's what leads him to then meet other characters, and it's not the entirety of the story, but it is the driving force in the story. It's what's carrying on the narrative. Reading the epilogue, I completely forgot it was fiction. So the things it was saying, I was like, really? And I was really surprised, and then I had to remind myself and go, oh, hang on, this is fictional. The author did say, like, he drew on real experiences. I'm sorry for the noise in the background. Neighbors doing some work in their home, and I can't really time to it. So sorry. Hopefully they stop soon. But I think the author, like, drew on real life experiences to degrees, or real life encounters with people, and I just, overall, like, it had a very nostalgic feel. It felt very familiar, like, in that coming of age aspect. And I think it was, the conversation on grief was important, and There was like a big focus on marine biology that is also very important. So I would highly recommend this book. I quite liked it, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read in February was Wild Hope by Joan Thomas. I was really disappointed in this book. This is also, sorry. Hang on. Okay. So this is also portrayed as a mystery. To kind of articulate, oh yeah, we're just gonna have to go with the drilling. I'm sorry, guys. To best articulate my thoughts on it is I feel like the story that was told isn't the one that was there, which may sound odd. So we have 2 main characters. They are in a relationship, a damaged, potentially ending relationship, but a relationship. They, one, she is a chef. She owns a restaurant on a farm with her business partner. They're having business struggles. They may be shutting down, but she's very passionate about it and wants to, is continuously like excited about trying new things and bringing food across a different way and all these different elements. Her boyfriend is an artist, and almost potentially alternating each chapter, it switches perspectives between her and him, and I did not like him. And I don't necessarily think you're supposed to. That may be the entire point. But he was very pretentious, very entitled. He was angry about his childhood that he had, but he was very privileged, and he recognized like the anger that he had was a privilege in and of itself, but he just basically whined and moped about all that's wrong with the world and didn't do anything to make any kind of difference. And I had like no time or patience for this dude. He had a lot of anger, lots of anger. He seemed quite paranoid. He didn't have a happy childhood by any means. His father was a politician and desperately wanted him to go into the same field as did his mother, and they were very like, why would you not? And he kind of fell into his artistry, but he plateaus with it, and he's very self-sabotaging and just very mopey. That's so much so the description of this character. He's very just moping around, feeling like he deserved any hardship that came to him because he'd been born privileged, and he just kind of sat there waiting on it all. And it just, yeah, I was quite exasperated. Now the whole mystery, which isn't a spoiler, you see it in the synopsis, but the whole mystery is he goes missing. He goes missing. So for a lot of the book, it's her trying to find out what happened to him, and it's the lead up and his like life story beforehand and the lead up to him going missing. So you as the reader have like a bit of an idea of what happened, but not much. And the whole book is focused on finding him and his story, and her reflecting on their relationship, on how they met, trying to find different ways to find him, and then in his perspectives, it's him reflecting on his childhood, on previous friendships, relationships, things he's done. And I did not feel like that was the story that was there, which is, I think, the first time I have felt that way. So I don't even know if I'm articulating that correctly, but I liked her. I feel like she would have been great in a romance novel, that character. Like being like valued, like well and truly. Like had the story started with her dealing with the fact that she'd had a tumultuous relationship with her ex, and then he went missing, and whatever happened there happened. And if that was like the start of the book, if that was like the original premise, and it sought to her like rebuilding her life and processing what had happened with him and with them, and then finding someone who's going to be like an equal partner with her and value her and care about her. I think that would have been, oh, I'm like, that would have been great. That would have been fantastic because I liked her. I liked the friendships that she had. Um, so I would have liked to have seen more from her, but she wasn't the main focus. It was him missing in his childhood and her just being really like swept up into all of it. And I think she's quite clever and she doesn't back down from challenges either. So it kind of ended up being very lackluster. Like, it really felt like, oh, if I never read this, my life would be no different, you know? Whereas, like, Closer by Sea, like, that made me think about things, and that, like, I gave it 3 stars. I don't often give 3 stars. So 3 stars, I guess my ranking system, the way I at least am trying to have it more so be, I don't think I've ever, well, there was one that I would have given 1 star to. But for me, if it's going to be a 1 star, I shouldn't even read the full thing. Like, that should be a D and F. So I don't really give 1 stars. I've given out the odd 2 star. And they tend to be short story collections that I've pushed myself through, hoping I find this like new, incredible experience with an author, and it just unfortunately doesn't happen. But 3 stars are very much like meh, like it existed. I also felt like the book could have been edited better. That was actually a big thing I just remembered about. There was multiple typos. There was a point where the characters were mixed up, and it was very clear the author mixed the characters up because it was referring to a past time where the characters' names she used didn't exist in that timeline for that person yet. And there was times where they said "and" instead of and things along that line. And normally, like, the odd time, one thing here, one thing there, like, I'll be okay with that. But it was a few times throughout the book, and every time it really jarred me and brought me out of it. So that was something as well. But 3 stars is very much so like meh, like it existed, I read it, I'm no better or worse for it. There it was. Um a 4 star would be very much like I really liked it. It was fantastic. It was very well done. And I would recommend it to a majority of people for X reasons, and it was brilliant. And like the 4.5 would be, this was phenomenal. I don't know if this is going to be like a absolute favorite read, like top tier favorite read, but no critiques. This was brilliant, and etc., etc. Whereas 5 star, I'm trying to be a bit more particular about them, but 5 stars, like, this book blew my mind. I still think about it all the time. This is one of my like all-time favorite books. I do have a few books that I would almost like say are more like a 6 star, which obviously isn't a thing, but they're just that step above all the other ones I've ever read. But this one, Wild Hope by Joan Thomas, is a 3 star for me. As well, I found the cover really disappointing, and I know, don't judge a book by its cover, but it has like rolling waves, like crashing water there with a bit of landscape. So to me, I thought it would have a water theme. Water appears, water is there, it exists in it, but it isn't like an underlying theme. Like, they could have set it in a prairie and it would have been no different. So yeah, that was disappointing because I'm really drawn to like ocean, sea theme, like water books. I just didn't do it. So, one really fantastic book, one that was a letdown. So far, March is a success. Hopefully it'll keep going that way, but those are the books that I read in February. Closer by Sea and Wild Hope. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have read either of these books, let me know in the comments below or any thoughts, and I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Take care.